Empty the chamber on them. And how do you do that? First 6 seconds, point 8 to 20 feet, everything you got. Everything you got. Turn that shit up. Let's go.
Welcome to the Morning Scoop. It is Monday, January 16th. I'm taping this on Sunday night as the Bengals are at halftime. I hope you guys are enjoying the game. I see Jackson Carman is in at left tackle, so this is going to get very interesting for the Ravens and Bengals. It's going to talk a little bit about offensive line recruiting, the weekend recruiting that is coming up. The CJ Stroud decision likely to be announced today that he's declaring for the NFL draft. It was fun while it lasted, but you never know. I know that Athletes First is expecting him to declare. So it's Kyle McCord time. It's Devin Brown time. What is up? Now, Condies, I apologize. Taking you guys' questions real quick. I do not think CJ is staying. I think that he's going to declare tomorrow. I will happily be wrong. If I'm wrong by some miracle, that'd be great. I do not see him staying. It would be it'd be a good story. I think it'd be a huge move if he did stay. I've said it multiple times. It didn't hurt Justin Herbert. I think that you see a lot of the high bust factor with these 3-and-out guys. You know, he's got Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, Trey Henderson. It makes all the sense in the world to stay. And the thing about the fact that it's not a zero-sum game any longer, where it's either you make $20 million or you make $0. Like with NIL, he could hedge that, probably make $6-7 million, which is obviously a ton of money. But more importantly, get that extra year of experience with Ryan Day, be a little bit more pro ready, a little bit more seasoned. Again, I always go back to Peyton Manning, who was the most NFL ready quarterback of all time, the most surefire number one lock as a true junior. Decided to stay for his senior year at Tennessee, and it didn't hurt him at all. So again, if a guy like Peyton Manning benefits from staying for a fourth year, I think it would help CJ tremendously. But that being said, I fully expect him to declare for the draft, and it's going to be the Kyle McCord versus Devin Brown show. So with that being said, as always, we are thankful, very thankful as always for you guys. We really appreciate you guys. You guys make the show what it is. I log on unexpectedly. Already got 100 people watching. I appreciate you guys so much. I know the Bengals game is on, so I'm going to keep this really brief. Talk a little bit about high school offensive line recruiting right now. Justin Fry is kind of scouring the country. He already has Ian Moore committed out of Indiana, big tackle, kid that we needed. He just offered the Armstrong twins out of St. Ed's, two kids that I also think will commit in short order. I'm sure we'll be recruiting them still, but I can't imagine them going anywhere other than Ohio State. And it's tough. Being Justin Fry is not an easy job right now because there's a lot of guys that aren't on like the Paris Johnson level of being a five-star A1A tackle type. There's a lot of guys that are just kind of bunched up in that high 3-star, low 4-star mix in the state of Ohio, and you can't take all of them, so you're really going to be selective. He went on the Armstrong twins. I'm going to show you a kid that I really like, Jake Wheelock, a kid that's a good interior player, plays tackle. Like most of these guys in high school play left tackle. He'll probably kick in the guard, but he's a really good kid, nasty kid, really smart kid. So we're going to run some of his film in the background. But as always, if you guys enjoy this, please leave us a like. The likes are huge for us. Subscribe to the channel, also huge for us. We're going to keep cranking content for you guys. Again, we really appreciate you guys tuning into these. The page is just growing like crazy, all because of you. We're going to have a ton of content on BuckeyesScoop.com. Bill the Bank Green is actually down in Florida, so he's going to have a lot of South Florida updates. There's some linemen down there. Obviously, there's great skill guys. Innocent Tater from down there. The next generation, JJ Smith, JoJo Trader, they're down there. So we'll have updates on all of those guys. And again, we appreciate you guys for all of your support on the channel. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to click us into the film room real quick. Just run a little bit of Jake Wheelock. Jake Wheelock is playing left tackle here. This is for Bishop Stebbins High School. Good program. It's not D1, but it's high level stuff. He's a nasty kid. I really like his tape. I think he's now again, this isn't the same level as what St. Ed's plays against, but this is a really good player. He's tall, he's angular, runs his feet, finishes. I talked to his coach, says he's a nasty kid. He likes to play hard. And again, this is something you got to remember. These kids they're still young, still a lot of growth. He'll probably look like a man this year as a senior. When I progressed through playing in high school, my sophomore year, I was 210. My junior year, I was 250. My senior year, I was about 265, but I played tight end, so I didn't get nearly as big as these offensive linemen. These offensive linemen will get to 290 in all likelihood. But, this is a year where I think we have to take 5 guys, maybe 6. The portal has not worked out for us so far. But frankly, I don't know how many of the kids in the portal were guys that would be huge impact players. I think that the tackle from Washington State would have been a nice piece. He would have competed at tackle, but I don't know if he's better than Josh Farr, just being honest with you. I don't know if he's better than if you put Donnie Jackson at left tackle. Obviously, he's not near what Paris and DeWand were, so he went to SC. Justin Fry is not promising these guys starting jobs, so for some of these guys, that's a non-starter. If Oregon's going to promise the kid from Rhode Island, Cornelius, that he's going to start, then they'll go to Oregon. If a kid, if SC is going to promise Jared Kingston he's going to start, he's going to go to USC. So I like that. I don't think it's fair to the guys in the room to make somebody a starter right off the jump. I think it should be competitive, and not every kid is built to compete. I frankly have zero concerns about our offensive line. I always point back to the 2014 group, which was Taylor Decker at left tackle. He was a returning starter from 2013. And then, your left guard was Billy Price, 0 career starts, redshirt freshman, very young. Jacoby Bourne was a junior. Again, no career starts, very young. Pat Elflein was a kid that started a couple games. Marcus got thrown out of that Michigan game for the double bird. And then I'm not sure if Pat started the Big Ten championship. I feel like he did when we lost to Michigan State. And then Marcus played the Clemson game. So Pat had basically one start, and he played the majority of that 13 game. Then Daryl Baldwin had no career starts, was a kid that was basically kind of tossed aside, came in as a defensive tackle. We actually converted him to tackle when I was a graduate assistant in 2012. He was one of the guys at Urban Meyer. He dealt me Reed Fragel and Daryl Baldwin. And, when he first took his first pass set, it was painful to watch, but the kid really worked hard. The kid was really tough. The nicest kid in the entire universe, Daryl Baldwin was, tremendous length, 6'7", but just not a great athlete in terms of his flexibility. He was an extremely stiff kid, but a really nice kid. And he worked really hard at it. And guess what? With that line that everybody in the world was worried about, and most people thought that there's no way we could ever do anything with, no way we could beat Bama or Georgia with them. Guess what? We won a national championship. And not only did we win it, we dominated Wisconsin, dominated Alabama, dominated Oregon. So, when people are worried about guys coming back, lack of production, I think that this line that will start preseason and start spring ball is better than that 14 line was coming back. I think if you put Donnie Jackson at left tackle, he was first team All Big Ten at left guard this year. So you slide him out to left tackle, figure out what you want to do with your guards. Obviously, I'd put Enoch in somewhere. I'd put Matt Jones either at center or at guard, Jacob James potentially at center or guard, right tackle, put Josh Fryer. So, that's not as high heralded and as sexy of a unit as having Paris. Obviously, I mean, you always want to have a Paris Johnson in a left tackle, but Paris is the best left tackle we've had since Orlando Pace, and there aren't many Paris Johnsons walking around on earth right now. So, DeWand was a project. He was a guy that was a 3-star guy that we were able to slot him into the lineup last year, and he blossomed into a guy that's going to be probably a mid-round draft pick. I probably see he's going to go in the third or fourth round, depending on how he tests, depending on how he does at the Senior Bowl. There's a lot of variables with DeWand. Paris is a kid that has no ceiling. I could see him going as high as the top 5. There's no way he gets out of the top 15, in my opinion. I honestly, if you put a gun to my head, say top 10 for sure. Again, he'll interview very well. He's a very mature kid. Obviously has a great foundation that deals with veterans. He graduated. I mean, his mom, Monica Daniels, is about as good of a job as raising and having a plan as you ever could for a kid. So I think that speaks well to the recruiting, the development of the offensive line at Ohio State. And that's why I don't worry about missing on portal kids. A lot of these portal kids, they don't have starts, or they started at a smaller program. So they played really well against really bad competition. So you always worry about how that will translate to playing at Ohio State. Like Rhode Island is a giant step up to Ohio State. So I think we'll be fine. And with our skill guys, I think those guys will help make us look good. I think you can gin it up, help it out a little bit. So It'll be good. Yeah, Jake Wheelock is a kid that is he's a kid that I think that we eventually end up offering. I think he's gonna have to come camp. Here he's on a nice reach block. Again, runs his feet. And again, it's always interesting to see how these juniors look as they gain some weight over the offseason. They gain, another 15 pounds of muscle, reshape their body. I mean, Jake's a really lean kid, so there's not a lot of reshaping, but it's always interesting to see how kids take advantage of the weight room from, really December. A lot of these kids are done in November, going into December, and then when you see them again in camp, which is usually around like the May, June-ish period, some of these kids can look totally different. They can look 15, 20 pounds heavier, much stronger functionally. Again, like if a kid walks in weighing 285 as a junior, and when he walks in as a senior, he might weigh 285, but he might be much more muscular, much more fit. So it's really on the kids to put in the work and just grind and do that. So I just wanted to run Jake's film. I'm going to do the Armstrong brothers. Gonna have Brandon Innes on the show. I'm really excited about that. I'll probably do that on Tuesday because he wanted to do it today, but I didn't want to miss the NFL games, and he didn't either. He's a big Ravens fan. So we're going to have some big-time guys coming on the show in the offseason. I'm also going to get some of my former teammates on the show. I'm gunning for Santonio Holmes, who'd be a great guy to have. I'm going to have Ted get on again, Troy Smith. So we're going to fill this thing out. Any quick questions since you guys are on here? This is Jake Wheelock, Bishop Sevens. So that's who you guys are watching. I apologize. I said that at the beginning. I know some of you guys came in after, but he's a kid. He's a 3-ish, 4-ish star. I'd say he's probably like a low 4-star. I would love to work with a kid like this because I know that he's a really tall, angular kid. He kind of reminds me of Taylor Decker. He's not as tall as Taylor. Taylor was about 6'7". But his body frame, his ankle bend is very similar to what Taylor was. And he's a really smart kid. He's a 3.95 GPA, honors student. Which again, when you're an offensive line coach, sometimes you recruit your own problems when it comes to guys being able to learn the playbook and adjust on the fly. So you want guys that are quick thinkers. You want guys that are prideful, tough, and you really can't have enough of those guys. And I imagine after spring ball, we'll see some attrition. Some of the bottom guys in the room will probably dip out and hit the portal and go to a place that's more appropriate for their level. And that's not an Ohio State thing or a Miss thing, but everyone on the team wants to play, and not everybody that gets a scholarship after a couple years, they figure out that they've been recruited over, or there's a younger guy that passes them. So I look for there to be some transition from the team. Really, it's all rooms. It's not just the offensive line. I'm sure there'll be some receivers that hit the portal, potentially some tight ends. I'd be stunned if all of our running backs made it to the season, just because we've got some major depth right now with Trey Henderson, Mayan, Dallin Hayden, Evan Pryor. I don't know what they're going to do with Chip, if they're going to keep him at linebacker. But at linebacker, we only play 2, and they're both back. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of the gyrations. But yeah, this is Jake Wheelock, Bishop Stebbins. He's a guy that I know Justin Fry loves. Ryan Day actually went and visited his high school this past weekend, this past week, to let him know they're very interested. And he's kind of right on the verge of getting offered by Ohio State, which I think he would accept almost immediately. So, but yeah, I like his film. Like I said, he's a nice puzzle piece. I really like him on defense. Now, again, I'm not saying he'd be a defensive tackle for Ohio State, but he's very disruptive. He gets up the field, very hard to block, plays both ways. Again, this is you have to, when you're watching film like this, it's more about evaluating the movement skills than it is the actual block, which, again, that, you look at the sets, the feet are light, hands are good. And again, this is obviously not a Big Ten defensive end, obviously, but you just judge the movement skills because obviously he's gonna block this guy, dominate him. He's not gonna be able to get around him, but how does it look? How light is he on his feet? So again, this is kind of the stuff we look at. We're really going to get into some film breakdowns in the offseason for the Scoop. So I'll let you guys know when those are and when we go live. I know this was kind of just a quickie just because I'm sure the Bengals are coming out of the tunnel, getting ready to start that game up. And I know you guys are probably excited to watch it. So I appreciate you guys as always. I'm going to lock this thing down so we can go watch the second half of the game. So thank you guys all for coming in. Again, appreciate you guys as always. So if you could give this thing a like, that would be huge for me. Thank you guys so much. I will talk to you guys Tomorrow, I'll be on BuckeyeScoop.com for the second half of the Bengals game. So if you guys are on there, we have a game thread going. Jackson Carman in at left tackle. So it's going to be very interesting to see if the Bengals can pull this one out because they're struggling. They got 3 starting offensive linemen hurt, so it's a struggle right now. So appreciate you guys as always. If you enjoyed this video, leave us a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below. Which offensive lineman would you offer in the state of Ohio and nationally if you were Justin Fry? Give me some names. Put them down in there. Armstrong Twins, Ben Roebuck's the guy that's got a Michigan offer. It's kind of tough when Michigan goes on kids. It's kind of do or die. It's time to either pull the trigger or not. So it'd be interesting to see if you think we should go on him. He's a big tackle. Out of St. Ed's, looks like he's going to go to Avon Lake potentially. So it's going to be very interesting. So I appreciate you guys as always. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. This has been the Morning Scoop. As always, I'll be on BuckeyeScoop.com all day today. We'll be awaiting the CJ Stroud news. We are fully expecting him to declare for the NFL draft today, so we'll have full coverage of that. But with that being said, I appreciate you guys as always. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.